Yo, what's up, Buffalo Fanatics? What is going on? Grace and peace to everybody who is watching and joining right now. Welcome to another edition of Rated Rev, Buffalo Fanatics Network. You already know what time it is, baby. Smash that like and hit the subscribe button if you have not already done so. So good to be up in here with you guys for another week. I can't wait for it. I got a jam-packed show for you tonight. It's gonna be very good. So go ahead and drop those. Smash that like, and then let me see where you guys are watching from. This is the roll call. You know how we do it every single week. I gotta know where you guys are watching me from. So to everybody who's joining me live right now, drop it in the chat right now. And to those who are watching the replay, what's going on? This is your man Rev, and you are tuned in to Rated Rev on the Buffalo Fanatics Network. And to those who decide to digest this via podcast format, what is going on? Grace and peace to you guys as well. Hop on up in here with your boy Rev, and let's get this thing revved up. You heard? What's happening? Chris 716 in the building. Connor Hinks in the building. I stick by the Buffalo Bills in the building. Let's go smash that like. You already know. What's happening? Mike Harlow in the building. What's up, baby? James is in the building. Preach the truth, brother. Amen, man. You know how we do it. Michelle Holloman in the building. What's up? Or Michelle. I'm not too sure. Maybe I mispronounced that. If I did, my bad. Y'all, I'm glad you like that beat, though, man. I love it myself, baby. Ronald Stevens in the house. What's up, baby? Namdi in the crib. You already know what time it is. Christopher Roseborough. Peace and love to everybody. No doubt. Ronald Stevens in the crib. Robbie Thedford in the house. He says Bill's first priority should be the D-line. They got ran over this year. We're going to get into that, baby. You better believe it. We're going to talk about it tonight. Connor Hinks in here from Niagara Falls. Ronald Stevens from Rochester, Amicus. What's up, man? What's going on? Kim Betts, Nowhereville, New York. I love how she switches it up every week. Kim, I love you. What's happening? I've got my man David Abbott in here What's going on, baby? Namdi from the Bay Area. What's happening? So everybody in here popping in, continue to shout out your hometown, where you're from, in the chat throughout the night as you guys hop on in here. Like I mentioned before, we've got a jam-packed show for you tonight. We got a lot to talk about. As you can already see, in case you missed it, but in the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about two positions tonight. We're going to try to get through two positions tonight. And we're going to be talking about the defensive line position and the linebackers. But let me start off by saying this, just in case, maybe you're brand new, this is your first time watching, or you don't know what's going on. So what I've decided to do starting last week is I'm starting a Bills offseason primer series. And what that is every single week from now until I think the legal tampering period, which starts March the 13th, I believe. We're going to be digesting. We're going to be not digesting, but we're going to be diving into every position. If you can hear me. All right, it looks like I dropped out for a second. Drop a line for me in the chat to let me know if you guys can still hear me and see me, because on my end, it looked like I went out for a second. So I'm not too sure if I need to repeat myself, but just in case I do, let me go ahead and do it anyway. I'm starting a Bills offseason primer series where I'm going to be looking at every position group on the Bills roster from now all the way until the legal tampering period on March the 13th. And we're going to decide whether or not the Bills need to address that position via free agency or the draft. Now, last week was a kickoff show. I had a special guest, my man Donnie Troutman. He came on with me last week, and we talked about the O-line and the tight end group. So if you missed that show, go back and watch that show. It's available to you right now as we speak on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. So make sure you go check that out if you missed it, or if you just want to go back and take a look at what we said. Maybe you missed some things. But now this week, we're diving into the defensive line and the linebacker group. This is a loaded group right here. And so with that being said, we're just going to jump right into it, because I don't want to take too much of your time. I don't want to prolong the time. I don't want this show to go long. As I mentioned last week, my idea was to shorten up these lives here in the off season to the best of my ability. That didn't happen last week, and so I'm going to try to do it this week. I'm not going to make any promises, but that's why I want to go ahead and jump right into the show. But you guys know how I like to do it, man. This is a very interactive show. So as we are discussing these position groups throughout the night, I want you to chime in. Give me your opinion. Give me your takes in the chat. And what I'm going to do is I am going to chat it up with you guys. So if there's something that I see that catches my eye, then guess what? I'm gonna give you some time. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. We're gonna talk about it, okay? But I don't want the show to get too long. But I love being interactive, okay? I also have a guest that is scheduled to be on tonight. He may be on a little bit later. We'll see. But if not, we're gonna roll with it. So let's go ahead and dive right on into the show. All right. Now, I know maybe some of you, were looking at last year's performances, right, throughout the team, and you're saying, you know what, I don't necessarily think that the weakness on the team is the defense. I think we've already invested more than enough capital via whether that's through the draft, with first and second round draft picks, or just free agent dollars into the defense. And I think it's time that we invest heavily into the offense. Well, I don't disagree. You know what I'm saying? And we'll talk about that throughout the coming weeks. But tonight we're going to talk about it, because I guarantee you, Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott, his coaching staff, they are going through every single position group right now. They do this every year. to find out the weaknesses of their roster, seeing how they can improve, whether or not they need to improve via the draft or free agency as well. So we're going to talk about it. And tonight is no different. We're going to go ahead and dive right on into the defensive line group. Now, let's first start with taking a look at the Bills roster at the defensive line. Okay. So last year, our starting defensive line, and it's kind of weird because Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott, they have a heavy rotation, right, across the defensive line. So it's kind of hard to determine, who's starting and who's not starting. But nevertheless, we're going to talk about it, right? The guys who came out there the first time, we have Von Miller, right? The big fish free agent acquisition last year. Von Miller, defensive end. He'll be 34 in March, okay? 34 in March. And he will be recovering, or he currently is recovering from a torn ACL injury that he sustained last Thanksgiving, okay? And then beside him, you had Daquan Jones, another free agent acquisition last year by Brandon Beane, who came over from the Tennessee Titans, played a very integral role across the defensive line. In my opinion, one of the most valuable players on the team, really, in general, last year. He will be 31 this year, and he is an unrestricted free agent next year. So he won't hit free agency until next year, the 2024 season. Okay. And then we have Ed Oliver, polarizing player for many fans. Defensive tackle, former first-round draft pick, number 9 overall, the Buffalo Bills. He is currently playing on his 5th-year option this year. Okay, so this is a put-up-or-shut-up year for Ed Oliver, no doubt, right? If he wants to secure the bag, he has to put up or shut up this year. Show us what he has, okay? Or the Bills may decide to, make some moves with Ed Oliver this year. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Okay. And then we've got Greg Rousseau, second-year pro, defensive end, coming out of Miami, first draft pick yet last year, right, in 2021. He's not going to be a free agent until the 2026 season. So those are your starting 4 defensive linemen, okay? And then you look at your depth across the D-line, and you have Boogie Basham, former second-round draft pick, right? He's not going to be a UFA until 2025. Then you have Jordan Phillips, the man that we brought back this year, free agent acquisition, who formerly played with the Bills. What was it? A couple of seasons before, right? He had one of the best years of his career in Buffalo prior, right? And then he hit free agency, went to the Arizona Cardinals, did not do well at all in Arizona, and then came back this past year on a 1-year deal. So he is currently an unrestricted free agent right now, 30 years old. Jordan Phillips. Then we have Tim Settle, who played next to him, defensive tackle. Another free agent acquisition that Brandon Beane picked up this past year out of Washington. Okay. I think he signed him to a 2-year deal or 3-year deal. But anyway, he's 26. He'll be 26 years old in July. His final year of the contract is actually voided in 2024. Okay. So I think they gave him 2 years on top of his final year, I think. I'm not too sure exactly how that worked. But anyway, all I know is that the 2024 season is a voided year for them. So they can get out of this contract in 2024. I think that contract actually voids before the start of the new league year in 2024. But he's very young, 26 years old, Tim Settle. And then we've got another guy that we brought back, free agent acquisition, Shaq Lawson, this year, former defensive end, as we know, for the Buffalo Bills. He was a former first-round draft pick who I think came along the Rex Ryan era, right, out of Clemson. He had some of the best years of his career. His first go-around with Sean McDermott. Then he hit free agency. He was just really a cap casualty. Hit free agency, tested the free agent market, got paid in Miami. I think he signed a 3-year, $30 deal with Miami, and then left Miami. And I think he went, I don't know if he went directly from there to the Jets or he had a stint somewhere else, but I know he played with the Jets for about a year or two. And then the Bills picked him up from free agency this year. He is a current unrestricted free agent, 29. He will be 29 years old in June. All right. And then we have, and I almost forgot, AJ Epinesa, another former second round draft pick. I think the Bills drafted him in the 2020 season, if I'm not mistaken. Right, that was the year when we traded our first round pick for Stephon Diggs, and then I think AJ Epinesa was our first pick in the second round. Right, and so you've got him. Now, let's dive into it, Ben. Okay, because when you take a look at right now, when you look at the defensive line, what are your takes on the defensive line? When you look back on the defensive line now, no doubt, Brandon Beane has invested a lot of money and a lot of capital, right? A lot of money in free agency and a lot of investment in from the draft on the defensive line. He has been trying to uh, put together a formidable defensive line. Okay, he did that last year. He understood that what he needed to do was to beef up the defensive line and get pass rush, right? He often learns a lot of his lessons in the last game of the season, and so the last game last year, not this past year, but the year prior, he figured, you know what, man, we need to get a pass rush. We need to get to Pat Mahomes. We need to get a pass rush. So this coming, I mean, well, so this previous year, all right, I know it seems kind of confusing, but anyway, this previous year, he went on and got the big fish, Von Miller, right, to improve the pass rush. Well, that was going well the beginning of the year, right? For about half of the year, it was going well. Von Miller was leading the team in sacks as to be expected. Greg Rousseau was having a very good sophomore campaign, right? Von Miller's presence was being felt across the entire defensive line, not just the young guys on the edge, but across the entire defensive line. And then all of a sudden, we know what happened. Thanksgiving comes and he tears his ACL. And from that point on, the defensive line group and just really the sacks in general and the production from the defensive line just went down the tubes as soon as Von Miller went out. And so when you look at the D line right now, what do you consider to be the weaknesses across this defensive line? Well, for me, I think there's not really one particular position, right? I mean, it's not to me. It's not defensive tackle or defensive end. To me, I think it's both, right? When you look at the defense, let's take a look at the defensive end position first. All right. First and foremost, you've got Von Miller, okay, who is recovering from a major injury. Now, I know what he says, that he's going to be ready and he's trying to, beat the timetable and he's going to try to be ready for the start of the season, but it's an ACL, torn ACL, okay? I'm not doubting the man's ability to recover quickly from it, but I think it's to be expected that we may not see him for the majority of the 2023 season, right? I mean, unless you're like Adrian Peterson and a freaking cyborg, it's going to be very hard for you to come back sooner than a year, and to play, and to play at a stellar, to have a stellar. I mean, to play at your peak performance. Okay, the last guy to do it, like I said, was Adrian Peterson. Man, I don't know how that guy was able to do it, but he did it. I'm not saying that Von Miller can't, but the odds are may not be in his favor. And on top of that, he's 34 years old. He'll be 34. So you've got to deal with that, right? Now you have to look at Shaq Lawson, unrestricted free agent, defensive end. Okay. And then you have this really shallow to mediocre depth at the defensive end position when you get past Von Miller. I mean, yeah, when you get past Von Miller and Greg Rousseau. Really, really shallow, right? Because you have, what do you have? You got Boogie Basham, right? AJ Epinesa. What are you going to do with that? All right. What are you going to do with that? Shaq Lawson is a guy that, I mean, you have to consider, I mean, whether or not you're going to bring him back or not for another year or not. I mean, he's still fairly young, but, in NFL years, I mean, 29, I mean, it's like dog years in the NFL, right? So you're 29 and in June this year, do we bring him back for another year? I don't know. We'll see. Right. But so the defensive end position, I mean, it's going to be weak because we saw what happened when Von Miller left. When Von Miller went out of the game and was done for the year, production decreased dramatically. Right. And so Where's that production going to come from? Okay. Where's that going to come from? And then you look at the defensive tackle position. And the reason I say this is a weakness because you've got Jordan Phillips, right? A guy we brought in on a 1-year deal. He's an unrestricted free agent this year. And on top of that, he will be 30, or I think he already is 30, but he was injured for the most of the year, right? I mean, he tried to tough it out and battle through shoulder injuries and all that kind of stuff, but he just couldn't do it. And so, like, do you bring him back, right? Considering his injury history and his age and all that kind of stuff, what do you do with that position, right? Then you've got Ed Oliver, who's currently playing on a 5th-year option. Very polarizing player. There's a lot of fans out there who think that Ed Oliver should be traded, right? Traded for draft picks. You know, I mean, he's, in my opinion, for a former top 10 first-round draft pick, he has been underwhelming, to be honest, right? I mean, I expected a whole lot more from a top 10 draft pick, a guy that Sean McDermott handpicked himself. This was a guy, when he thought about the 3-tech position, right? We know when he came in, Sean McDermott came to Buffalo, he had a vision for his defense, right? Started with that 1-tech position, that nose tackle, that guy who can take on double teams, right? They brought him Starla Tulele. Okay. Love him or hate him. You know, I know a lot of people didn't like his contract, especially for the output that we got, but he was a cornerstone for the defensive line, right? And then he had to fill the 3-tech position, right? That gap penetrating, that one gap guy, that just penetrating defensive tackle, fast off the snap. Well, he handpicked Ed Oliver out of Houston, undersized guy, 6'1", 290, soaking wet, short arms, you know, but fast off the ball, right? And this guy came in very cocky. Let's be honest. He came in out of Houston very cocky, extremely cocky. And we look at all the other defensive tackles and the defensive linemen that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane passed up on in favor of Ed Oliver. And I think it's fair to say that we haven't really got, his production hasn't matched the value, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. So you got to deal with him, right? And then do you trust him? I mean, yeah, this year, he may turn up this year. He may turn up and just explode this year. But do you trust that, right? 5th-year option. Of course, the guy's going to try to perform at his peak when he's trying to make that money. But you got 4 years, and you're going to, at the end of the year, you're going to have 5 years of production to base your decision off of. That's something that Brandon Beane and his staff and the coaching staff are going to have long, hard conversations about, right? And then you've got Daquan Jones, who I mentioned earlier was, in my opinion, one of the most valuable players across the entire team, not just the defense, but the entire team. That guy, especially up front on the defensive line, stellar, right? Stellar. You're not going to really see him in the stat sheet, right? But that guy was tremendous, filling in that 1-tech, that nose tackle position that we needed, right? We didn't get out of Starla Tulele. We try to plug and play with other guys like Jordan Phillips the previous years, and then had other guys playing out of position. Quentin Jefferson playing out. So we had a lot of guys that just didn't quite fit. And then we got so we added Daquan Jones, older guy, right, 31, but he came in and he fit like a glove and was very, very good for our defensive line. Very good. Okay. But you have to wonder, right? I mean, looking at his age. Okay. You got to look at his age. And, he's got this year. So he's going to be going into the final year of his deal. So what are you going to do behind that? So, I mean, behind him, who do you really have to fill in the 1-tech position? Right? You've got Tim Settle, who I think who's better suited at the 3-tech, but I could be wrong. So those are some key weaknesses that I think we need to address. I know it's not popular, right? Because we're so tired of them targeting defense after defense after defense and getting very minimal production out of that group as a whole, but that doesn't mean you stop addressing the position, right? Now we can determine where, uh, uh, how high of an investment needs to be made across the defensive line. But nevertheless, I think it's fair to say that there needs to be some type of investment made, right? When you consider the weaknesses. I don't know about you, but I don't want to go into this year with a light defensive end, right? just just Greg Rousseau, Boogie Basham, AJ Epinesa, right? Let's just put Von Miller on the back burner right now and act like we're not going to have him for a decent portion of the season, okay? Shaq Lawson, you know what I'm saying? Like these guys, like they're okay, right? Shaq Lawson played well. Boogie Basham Young, AJ Epinesa, yeah, right. But they're not. They're just guys. I think we need some more additions to that position, right? So let's take a look at some potential fits, right? Because we know how Brandon Beane operates. Do we not? We know that Brandon Beane likes to fill as many needs as possible in free agency first, so that when he comes into the draft, he doesn't have to feel the need to reach or be desperate, right? And so we can just about assume, based upon his track record, that he may look to address that position in free agency. Okay. And so with that being said, let's take a look at some who I believe to be some potential free agent fits for the Bills across the defensive line. All right. And I want to know your opinion as well. So drop your opinion in the chat, and I will try to go through it and take a look at what you guys say. All right. Number one, in my opinion, and I don't necessarily think that it's like in any particular order of importance. Okay. I think first off, I think you need to take a look at Jordan Phillips. All right. I think you need to bring him back. Bring Jordan Phillips back if you can. Re-sign him. Why? I mean, he's still fairly young, right? 30 years old, right? 30. I think he'll be 31. Let me just double check, right? I know he's 30, but I can't remember if he's going to be 31 or what. Let me see here. Where is he at? 30 years old right now. Currently, Jordan Phillips. How old is he going to be? Let's see. But Jordan Phillips, I think he just turned 30 like last year. Okay, so he turned 30 in September. So at the start of the year, he will be 31. Okay? He'll be 31. Now, I understand. I get it. Like I'm looking right now and my man Avery Hyman says, "Yo, he stay injured, Rev." I understand that. I understand he stays injured. I get it. But I mean, it's just unfortunate, right? But I mean, when you look at let's look at it from a different lens, right? I mean, Brandon Beane is going to be up against it, and I'm talking about the cap. He is over the cap right now, so he's going to have to make some serious moves to get some room, right? What is the Bills' current cap situation? Let me see. Cap space for 2023. It looks like, where is it at? I know they're currently over the cap. Let me see here. I'm trying to pull it up here. If you guys can find it for me, drop it in the chat. Okay, roughly $20 million over the cap. Okay, roughly 20 million. Thanks, Jason. Thanks. We found it at the same time, and you as well, Kim. So he's gonna have to make some moves, right? And so what do you think that is? What does that entail? Some likely restructures. Okay. Now I'm not a cap guy. I'm not a capologist. That's not my thing. So I don't really know how all of that's going to work. There's some great content creators out there that you can follow that are way more versed in that aspect than I am. Greg Thompson at Cover One. Go follow him. Great follow. That guy knows a lot. He knows what he's talking about as far as the cap is concerned. But I do know that there's probably going to have to be some restructures to create some cap room right this year. Okay. which means, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Brandon Bean said don't expect, any type of big moves, right? In free agency. Well, he kind of says it every year, okay? And then you may get a splash player every. I mean, like who thought that this past year we were going to land Von Miller? Like that was on nobody's radar. I know it wasn't on my radar. I don't even think it was on Bean's radar, to be honest. I think that just fell into his lap and was like, "What? Are you serious? Let's see what we can do." And he was able to make it work. So we'll see. Right? This is smoke screen season, and so I'm not necessarily buying everything he says, but I do know he's going to have some work to do. Okay, and so with that being said, I don't think there's any problem with bringing back a guy like Jordan Phillips. Right? I mean, what are his options? You think is he going to turn it down? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, sign him back to another 1 year deal. Right? Bring him on because if you just start letting guys go, you're already thin. We're already thin at the position, right? Let's just look at it like we're like, okay, let's take a look at the depth again. Defensive tackle, currently right now, we have Ed Oliver, Daquan Jones, Tim Settle, right? That's it. We know we've got that rotation. So who's going to be rotating with Daquan Jones? You know what I'm saying? We only got three guys, two of which start. You know what I'm saying? You need to start two tackles. So you have to get somebody in, right? Either whether it's via free agency or the draft, you have to add a body there. Why not bring Jordan Phillips back on another 1 year deal? Okay, that's my opinion. I think bringing him back here, not only is is he familiar, right? It's a familiar face. He already knows the scheme. Okay, it doesn't hurt, but it fills a size void, right? Because you want a guy that's big. Jordan Phillips is a big guy, 6'6", 330 or something like that, big guy, right? And I get the injury concerns, but I mean, we can manage. You know what I'm saying? Bring him back, short-term deal. All right. Um, moving on, another guy that I'm looking at now. This may or may not be a possibility. I don't know. But at the defensive tackle position, let's take a look at a guy by the name of Dalvin Tomlinson. Dalvin Tomlinson, 6'3", 325 pounds, 28 years old. Okay. According to Spot Track, and let me pull him up right now. Where did it go? Dalvin Tomlinson right now. Oops, my bad. Wrong screen. They have an estimated contract for Tomlinson right now, and they estimate it at a 3-year, $25.5 million contract. Okay. An average annual salary of $8.5 million. Okay. Now, again, I don't know whether or not Brandon Bean can make that happen. Okay. We'll have to wait and see when he starts making these restructures and working his cap magic to see what type of room he's able to create. Okay. But if he's able to create some room, Dalvin Tomlinson could be a guy that you look at. I mean, he's another big guy, right? In my opinion, when you look at the defensive line, I don't think it'll hurt to get more beef across the defensive line, right? Like I mentioned, you've got Daquan Jones, right? But he's old. He's an older guy, right? He's an older guy, 30, 31, right? 31 years old. Okay. Then you've got Tim Settle, young guy, but he may be out of position at a one tech. Okay. So you kind of want to continue to add more guys to that position, right? It's been very difficult for Brandon Bean to find a one tech that fits. Okay. Why not a guy like Dalvin Tomlinson, have him rotate with a guy like Daquan Jones, right? And then you can move Tim Settle to the 3 tech, and then you just create more beef across the defensive line. Okay. And then let's look at some of his numbers. Okay. When you look at from PFF, this past year, he had a 77.1 overall grade from PFF, which happened to be his second personal best since 2019. So still a young guy, sub 30, right? Maybe somebody we can look at. I don't know. Again, I don't know the cap situation. I don't know what Brandon Bean is going to be able to do, but it could be something that they might be able to address. I don't know. We'll take a look at it. Okay. Another free agent, possible free agent acquisition that we can look at, another target to me. And this may be, but matter of fact, the next two guys could be under the radar players that we hadn't thought about. Okay. Remember the weakness I said, defensive end weakness. Von Miller coming back from an ACL injury. We don't know how long he's going to be out. That just leaves young Greg Rousseau, very young Boogie Basham, AJ Epinesa, who has been, let's just be honest, he hasn't lived up to his second round draft pick status. How about, let's just say it like that. Okay. We don't know about Shaq Lawson. We don't know about that. You're very thin across the defensive end position. You need some pass rush. You have to generate some pass rush. We saw the performance of the D-line as soon as Von Miller went out. Okay. And I'm not saying this guy is going to be able to do it, but it kind of seems like a potential Brandon Beane acquisition. All right. And that being Clelin Ferrell. Clelin Ferrell, defensive end. Do you guys remember Clelin? Former first-round draft pick of the Raiders in 2019. He came out of Clemson. That was the year Mike Mayock was the GM. Okay. 6'4", 265. Okay. A big guy, big body guy, defensive end. He hasn't done too well. I mean, he's coming out of his rookie year. His rookie contract. The guy's 26 years young. No matter of fact, he'll be 26 in May. So he's 25, right? Just coming out of his rookie deal. The Raiders did not pick up his fifth-year option, so he is currently an unrestricted free agent. How many times do you see or do you get the chance to go after former first-round defensive ends, right, who just come free in free agency? You know what I'm saying? Not very often. Normally, those guys, when they're drafted in the first round, like Cleveland was, normally those teams, they lock them up. Okay. They at least try to, do their fifth-year option and then try to wait it out and see after that. But very rarely do you get former first-round defensive ends coming available in free agency. Okay. Clelin Ferrell could be a guy. We don't know. We'll see. We got Roy Collins saying, yo, just another Epinesa. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. But see, Epinesa, I think he was just a bad draft pick in general. And then I think the way the Bills handled him, coming out of Iowa, it just wasn't good, right? I mean, he was a big power end. I think he came out, he was like 280. They made him cut a lot of weight. He came in his rookie year, cut too much weight, was extremely thin, right? Well, and so then his second year, he kind of added more weight to it, and he kind of flashed, and then he just hasn't really just been that good. Now, I'm not going to say that Clelin Ferrell is another AJ Epinesa. I think he's. Are you talking about a former first-round draft pick versus a second-round pick who was meh? You know what I'm saying? And I'm out of here touting Clelin Ferrell as some, elite the pass rusher. But it could be a guy that Brandon Beane just says, you know what, man, we may be able to get this guy on the cheap, right? And could potentially develop him. I don't know. What say you? But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring on my guest. Let me know, brother, when you're ready. Give me a thumbs up to let me know if you can hear me and whether or not you're good. Looks like he's not ready yet, so I'll go ahead and bring him on here shortly when he gets ready. But yeah, Cleveland, he could be another guy, man. We don't know. I get it. Amica says, yeah, but all experts said Gruden reached heavy on Ferrell. Yeah, he may have. You know what I'm saying? But what I am saying is this: it's going to be very, very enticing, man. It's hard for GMs, especially guys like Brandon Beane, man, who like to look for those quote unquote diamonds in the rough. He likes to kind of find those guys that he could possibly bring in. His MO, he loves to get these low cost guys, right? Low risk, high reward guys. I can get him in maybe a 1 year, 2 year deal, very minimal contract. And if he can perform for us, outperform the contract, that's good for us. We can maybe develop him. He's still young, incredibly young. So We'll see, right? We'll see. I don't necessarily know how much I trust the defensive line to develop these guys. Like, I mean, we got Eric Washington. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Just don't know about Eric Washington. Okay. But we'll see. We'll see. He could be an inexpensive contract, right? Because I don't foresee him just like commanding top dollar whatsoever. You can probably get him very cheap, right? Very cheap. And all it takes is a guy to get to have somebody believe in him and give him an opportunity and say, hey, man, we're going to give you the opportunity to play. And you're going to have the opportunity just to perform and show us what you got, right? It may be a 1 year prove a deal. Those guys like to perform under those circumstances, right? But then on top of that, he could be a potential Shaq Lawson replacement, a younger Shaq Lawson replacement, right? You know what I'm saying? So we'll see. I'm going to check in with my guest right now. Looks like he's getting ready. Give me the thumbs up, man, if you're ready. You ready? There we go. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me bring on my man, Silas Whittle. Welcome, my man, Silas Whittle, to the stream. What's up, Silas? How you doing, baby?
My mic was muted. What's up, Rev? Man, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, baby. I'm good, man. Glad to see you, man.
Glad to see you too, bro. How the family? Everything good?
Yeah, everything's good, man. Everything's good, the fam. Man,
right.
Ready to talk in, man, and just dive into this offseason. Bro, first of all, man, bro, I like what you got. I like the fit, man. The hat's dope.
Hey, man, thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Some light.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? I bought this right after we won the division.
Yeah.
But I got it from 26 Shirts, and
Nice.
I got it actually like a week before we lost to Cincinnati.
Oh man.
But I don't want nobody to say that like I'm trying to go after Dell. And the shirt was back. The shirt was back ordered. So appreciate you, Dell, man. Everything you do out there at 26 Shirts. So
yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
So man, Whittle, man, I'm glad you joined us, man. Because tonight, man, this is part 2 of my Bills offseason primers. Free agency or the draft. So we're taking a look at position groups from now all the way until the start of free agency, or really just up till the legal tampering period. And we're gonna just preview these positions and find out the weaknesses and whether or not the Bills need to address this position via free agency or the draft. And so tonight is the D-line and linebackers. And so we've been talking about. So I was talking about the D-line, man, before you got on. Just kind of going through the roster just in general, man, and then pointing out some of the weaknesses that I thought I had. Not that I had, but I thought that the team had with Von Miller coming back from a major injury, so we're not going to see him for a certain amount of time in the season of next year. Shaq Lawson is a UFA. You've got very shallow depth, right? I mean, we saw what happened once Von Miller went out. The production from the defensive ends, the pass rush, it just dropped dramatically. You've got a young Greg Rousseau, and that's really it. Boogie Basham, young guy. AJ Epinesa has not performed at all. Very, very underwhelming career so far. Not getting any value really when you look at his draft pick. And so we're really light there at the defensive end position. Then when you look at the defensive line, the defensive tackles, you got Jordan Phillips, another UFA. He's 30. You got Ed Oliver on a 5th-year deal right now, right? 5th-year option. We don't know what we're going to get out of him. He's been kind of just inconsistent throughout his year. Throughout his career so far.
Right.
Underwhelming in my opinion as well, especially for a top 10 draft pick. You want a whole lot more. I think I want a guy drafted in the top 10, number 9 overall. I want him to be dominant, especially when you look at the defensive lineman that we passed up to get Ed Oliver. And this was a Sean McDermott hand-picked guy. Handpicked him, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got Daquan Jones, 31, who I think was one of the most valuable players across the entire team, not just the defensive line. I love what Daquan Jones did for the defense. We saw what happened in Cincy when he was out. Man, just that the run defense just was not there. We didn't have anybody who could really stop the run. He was a big hole. But he's 31 going into the going into this year. So I think across the defensive line, I know people don't want to hear it. They want to go heavy on the offense, but I still think that we have to address this position. And so when you look at free agents, man, I just outlined what I said. Silas, I want to get your thoughts on it, man. I think that that it wouldn't hurt for Brandon Beane to bring back Jordan Phillips. I know he's had some injury concerns, right? And then he is 30 years old, but I mean, what will it hurt? If you bring the guy back on another 1-year deal, he's familiar with the team. You bring him back. That doesn't preclude you from adding any more guys. It's just if you just do away with all your guys, I mean, you're already deep. I mean, you're already shallow as it is. Why not bring him back on a 1-year deal, maybe? And then Dalvin Tomlinson coming out. He's another guy that I'm talking about anyway. But I want to know your thoughts, man, your opinions, man. Is there anybody across the defensive line when you look at free agents, whether it's defensive tackle or defensive end, that you think could be a potential target for the Buffalo Bills?
As far as like D tackle, I mean honestly, Rev, like my my stance is let's get younger. I love what we've done as far as bringing in Shaq and bringing Jordan back to the team. Like I think their contributions when Jordan was healthy was excellent. Even though Jordan didn't tear up the stat sheet, his effect was felt in the game. He was constantly providing pressure, constantly providing that pass rush, and in between in the middle of that defensive line. I thought his size, his athleticism, I thought his effect to the pass rush on the interior was felt throughout the season. It's just unfortunate the injuries took such a toll on us this year, but and I would even be willing to give a guy like Jordan Phillips a 2-year deal. I would be willing to extend Daquan Jones, give him 2 or 3 years. I mean, we've seen defensive tackles play into their mid-30s. So what we're getting right now from Daquan Jones, I think is very high level. So if we can add to that, I'm always up for that.
What do you think about defensive end?
I can't defensive end. See that I'm more of a scorched earth type of person right now. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm talking about let's put Epinesa and Ed Oliver on the first thing smoking to another one of these 31 teams.
Package
and just get these guys. These guys have not performed. Ed Oliver, all we need is one team to bet on his potential, and a team that already has like a real big one tech already there that can take on double teams, which would allow Ed Oliver to get one-on-ones. Let's package him and get him out of here, man. Give me a third. Yeah, give me a third round pick. Give me a couple of day 3 picks. Whatever it takes, man. Just get these guys out of here, man.
I hear
bro,
you, man.
Ed Oliver has 14 sacks in his career. I think it's 14 and a half. And he had 5 in year 1. So everything after that has been
it's been here. It hasn't been inconsistent, especially it's just not what you want out of a top 10 draft pick, at the defensive line. James comes in with a super chat. James, I appreciate it. He says, "Yo, Rev and Silas, I want my D line big, beefy, and black." He said big, beefy, and black, unless your last name is Wadabosa. Epinesa gotta go. James, you crazy, man. Yo, but I like what it says
Black History, man. That's right.
Yo, man. Yeah, I like what he said though about it being big and beefy, because this is and that's what she said. But that's what but yo, when you look at the defensive line, man, and this is kind of where I'm thinking, and of course this is I'm just talking about free agency right now, and we're going to get into the draft here shortly too, and find out where the Bills should go. But when I bring up guys like Jordan Phillips, bringing him back, big beefy guy, right? Dalvin Tomlinson, potential guy. I don't know the workings. I mean, it could be. I mean, his contract could be out of Brandon Beane's reach. Spot Jack has him at a 3-year, $25.5 million contract, $8.5 million average annual salary. But he's the 6'3", 325. I mean, you just adding more. Defensive end, Cleveland Farrell, a former first-round draft pick, 6'4", 265. Another guy. I mean, you can see a potential young Shaq Lawson replacement he's coming out of his rookie contract, could be very cheap, right? And maybe a 1-year prove it deal or something like that, and see what you can get out of him. And then another guy that I didn't mention that I was going to mention was a guy like Solomon Thomas, coming out of San Francisco. He played with the Jets recently. But for another former first round draft pick, 6'2", 260. I think he came out of college around the 280 size. He was a big guy. But anyway, former first round pick of the Niners back in 2017. He's young, 27 years old. He was the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for the Jets this past year. So he could be that process kind of guy that Sean McDermott looks for. He's big on that character stuff. Take it for whatever, take it for whatever you want, right? Another possible inexpensive contract. We'll see, right? But I just wanted to throw some names out there for everybody, because we know Brandon Beane's MO, man. We know what he does, right? I mean, we come around free agency. We want a guy to get younger, but he doesn't like to go into he doesn't like to go into the draft with holes. So he likes to fill as many holes as he can in free agency, likely with those really low cost free agents, right? Just to kind of plug in a hole, maybe Band-Aid, if you will, and then that way he's not desperate, or he doesn't have to reach in the draft and he tries to go BPA. That's kind of what he does typically, unless a guy like Von Miller falls into your lap and then you just go after him, right? And so that's why I brought those guys up. But when I look at these additions, or these kind of potential players that I'm talking about here, I like Thomas, and I mentioned it kind of gives you a big one tech that can rotate with Daquan Jones. Maybe you can move Tim Settle to 3 tech, right? Move him in there. You got 2 big guys in there at a time, right? And then you can never have enough pass rush. All right. But that's just free agency. Now,
well, let me get before we get off of free agency.
Okay.
Let me just I know Brandon Beane said that he didn't want to make any big splashes. And I believe that's what he's saying. I believe him when he says that. Mm-hmm. But my eyes are out west right now. I'm watching Los Angeles, and I'm watching the powder blue team, the Chargers. Brand new coach.
Yeah.
They got some holes on offense that they need to fill. And you never know, man. A guy like number 52, Khalil Mack, from the area, he might come available. He might come available. Become available, man.
What's his contract look like? You think he's a cap casualty? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think they're gonna end. I think he's one of those guys that they may actually end up cutting. And if they do, I think Buffalo's a team that really can pull on them heartstrings and say, hey, man, listen, we got a quarterback, we got a wide receiver.
Yeah.
We got it. What we got on the other side of the line. So,
right.
If we can get a guy like that on the other side, man, to come in and just, yeah, I think that was the only thing that was missing with. So the cap, like that's what we got to watch out for. Like we got to watch out for, when free
see what he does in the cap. Yeah.
See what happens. See what the Chargers are looking like. And if the Chargers release Khalil Mack, Buffalo needs. Listen.
I'm looking at.
I know what you're saying, Roy. Roy Collins is saying that Mack is not what he used to be, and that's fine. But if you put Khalil Mack on one side and Von Miller on the other side on third down, that is a nightmare for any quarterback in the league.
Yeah,
that's a nightmare for any tackle.
Yeah, and you don't have to play Khalil Mack at an elite clip. I mean, you can use him in a rotation to kind of preserve him, as well too. But so yeah, I mean, I like that idea. I'm looking at his contract right now. I mean, it's for them to let him go. It's a $9 million dead cap hit for them this year. Let me see here.
How much would they save though? Because I know he got a big deal from them.
Yeah, he got a huge deal. He signed a 6-year, $41 million contract with him. Yeah, I don't know how much they'll save if they trade him or release him. But it could be an option. I'm not too sure, man. Let me see here, the final year of his contract. So let me see here, 24 year. He's looking at a $17.5 million base salary. I don't know, man. I don't know how Brandon Beane will be able to work it.
Yeah, so if they cut him, I'm not a cap. I'm not one of those cap guys.
Me neither, brother.
But
yeah, me neither.
if he becomes available, like if they say if they're gonna save $8 or $9 million by letting him go, and then somebody picks him up.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be us, man. If he becomes available, it's got to be us.
Yeah. I mean, considering he's 31, right? At the tail end of his career, he would likely. I mean, I don't know. I can't pretend to know what he's looking to do, but I mean, from the area or close by, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he could be wanting to finish out his career, with the Bills, considering he played at the University of Buffalo. That's an interesting take. Yeah. Now you got my wheel spinning here, man. I think they need to just. They would likely have to just go all in, man. Like I need these guys to make some moves, man, to really move the needle, right? But I'm not too sure what Brandon Beane is up to. I mean, he has first of all, $20 million over the cap right now, estimated. He has to make some moves to get under that cap and see what he can do. All right, but so that's potential free agents. All right, but now you talk about young guys. You talking about the young guys and hitting the draft. Let's take a look at some of these draft prospects here across the defensive line, and figure out whether or not the Bills need to address the position via free agency or the draft. Now, I know you've got some guys that you're thinking about as well. Go ahead and tell me, man, some of the guys that you have on your radar, man, in the draft.
All right. So the number one guy on my list right now is Keanu Benton out of Wisconsin. 6'4", 315. I mean, they say he's 315. Dude looks like every bit of 325. Very, very, very violent in the middle of the line. Like I love that about him. Takes on double teams, is and holds his own. One thing about him, he can be walled off. Like I was watching some of his film. I was watching some film from Wisconsin's defense against Ohio State and against a couple other teams this year, Michigan State as well. And yeah, he is he's that guy that you want in the middle of the field. Like he's the guy that we should have taken instead of Ed Oliver. Like I look at it from the standpoint of we run a base nickel defense, so at all times we're always going to be lighter than the other team going against.
So you want to be heavy across
teams
the
can load up
front.
the body. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
So I got to be heavy across the front to kind of mitigate the loss in size and strength that Taron Johnson being on the field is gonna give us. So you get a guy like this, he can win one-on-one. You put him next to Daquan Jones on passing downs, and you got a problem. He's got enough size to not only eat up offensive linemen, but he's also got enough size to affect the run. If teams decide to try to run it against us in the nickel. So him next to Jordan Phillips or him next to Daquan Jones, I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. All you guys out there, man, please go watch this kid. He is extremely violent. He's very twitchy. He's very athletic. Yeah, he's got some speed.
95.
I like the kid a lot, man. That's like my number one guy on the list.
Yeah, love it. Okay, so you got Benton. Okay, now.
Okay. Yep.
I'm now
number two.
I've got a guy too. You tell me who you think. Yeah, I think you had mentioned it to me. Now I'll go and matter of fact, I'll save yours. What do you think about a guy, in Monty Smith? Monty Smith, nose tackle out of Michigan. Monty Smith. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, Mozzie Smith, another big boy, 6'3", 340, 331, 335, somewhere around there. Yeah, big dude. Another guy, man, eats up blocks, man. He's very, very active. Very, very active. Good against the run. Doesn't provide you a lot of pass rush, but I mean, at the next level, that's something that a guy his size may actually be able to provide. Because he's going to be, it's not like he's going to be the only big guy on the line. Like in college, sometimes these guys, they're next to other players that are not on the same level athletically or from a talent standpoint. But at the NFL level, he's going to be next to guys that can play just as well as he can. And I think he can develop into a into Daquan Jones replacement piece.
Yeah, and just looking right here,
well.
and looking right here at this is from PFF.com. They've got him listed number 5 on their top 10 defensive tackle rankings. 6'3", 337. They give 76.8 overall grade. They say he's a stout nose tackle, early day 2 projection. It says he has long-term NFL starter written all over him. When he wants to drop anchor, there is little chance of moving him against his will. That ability alone is growing more attractive to NFL defenses trying to stop the run with light boxes. And so, yeah, I mean, you're spot on. And then just take a look at a little clip of him here. He's number 58. Let me go ahead and try to expand this here. And you see him here in the middle. One tag right there. You take a look at him, man. That was. I love how he was able to break inside, man, swim, move, and get in there. Big guy who can move like that. Like I said, man, I'm all about the defensive line getting bigger and beefier across the front. And I love how you mentioned the fact that you're not going to be able to get Leslie Frazier and Sean McDermott out of the nickel, so you're going to be light, right? And you already have a light defensive tackle in Ed Oliver that you're starting in, 290, soaking wet, right? And then you've got Taron Johnson. I mean, we saw what happened with the Bengals. They schemed it up to where they got an offensive lineman on Taron Johnson. You know what I'm saying? So now if you have a much bigger, beefier, stout front, that's likely going to keep Taron free and the rest of the linebackers free. And so you want to get guys, man, who are just mountains, just immovable guys, man. That you want that beef across the defensive line, and guys who could potentially, maybe who can provide you with some pass rush. But what I like is this: if you get big guys across the middle, let's say instead of Sean McDermott, and this is possibly, and I want to ask your opinion about this, Alice. Instead of Sean McDermott, with his philosophy of going, this big one tech, right, and then the smaller gap penetrating 3 tech, having 2 big beefy 1 tech guys, in the middle, and then using your pass rush in different ways. Guy like Von Miller, maybe having another guy on the edge, but then you've got guys like you've got Greg Rousseau, big defensive end, right? 6'6", 6'7", 270. You can bring him inside on passing downs, right? And have him run stunts on the inside. Guy like Boogie Basham running inside too, and then you can get other guys. So there's other ways in which you can deploy your pass rush without having necessarily just your prototypical edge rushers, right? But having that stout front in the middle, I think is key, in my opinion. I mean, do you see it the same way, or do you
of course, absolutely, absolutely. I think I don't understand having a smaller penetrating defensive tackle. Like that doesn't make sense to me when you know you're going to be in light boxes 90% of the times on defense. Right. It just makes more sense. You get bigger, beefier guys that have some strength and some size, and you just tell them, hey, listen, go straight. When they hike the football, just push straight.
Push the pocket.
Push straight.
Yeah.
Straight into the just push right into the quarterback's lap. That does 2 things. It gives you interior pass rush, and that prevents the quarterback from stepping up into the pocket and having clean open lanes to throw to, and it also keeps your second level clear. The longer these offensive linemen are dealing with these big beefy defensive tackles, the less likely you have a guard getting to the second level or center getting to the second level, and getting that guy onto a Matt Milano or a Taron Johnson or a Tremaine Edmonds.
Mm-hmm. So now, who's your other guy that you're looking at across in the draft?
I got 3 more, man. I got 3 guys. I'm just going to run them down real quick. I'm not going to take up a whole bunch of time, but Zach Pickens out of South Carolina. Another 6'4", 6'3", 315 pound guy. Very, very, very solid player. Gives you some pass rush, gives you some run stopping ability. He's good at shedding blocks. He's just a solid, really, really solid player with some size that I think would fit on this defensive line. Gervin Dexter, young guy. I think he's a junior out of Florida. Yeah, 6'4", 315 pounds. So I mean, it's pretty much a trend of what I'm actually going with. And then my third guy that I'm going to speak on is a kid out of Bowling Green, Carl Brooks. Carl Brooks is 6'4", 6'5", whatever. Yeah, about 290, but he is very, 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 very strong. Extremely strong. Sean McDermott and I'm sorry, not McDermott, but Brandon Bean was at the Senior Bowl, and was kind of paying a lot of attention to Carl Brooks. So that's a guy that Buffalo kind of likes, and he might be around that second round, second round, third round. For us to
PFF
either
guys.
trade
Yeah,
up to go
PFF has
get,
him.
or he might just fall to us.
Yeah, he might just, and PFF kind of has him as a day two guy too, so that makes a lot of sense. I like it. And they say he's a penetrator. Another guy that I think, man, and I've seen a lot of people in here talking about him, and he's a guy that I'm looking at too. Kind of reminds me of the guy from the Buccaneers. What's that guy's name, man? Big boy.
Vita Vea.
Vita Vea. Yeah.
Oh, you talking
Siaki Ika.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Siaki Ika. From Baylor.
From Baylor. Yeah. Big boy. Huge. I think this guy. Let me see here. I think he's. Oh man, I think he's about 350.
Siaki Ika is definitely. 350. Yeah. But he's athletic as hell. He's athletic as heck though. That's another one of those like 300. Like he's a 350-pound guy that's gonna swim. He might hit you with a spin move to get by you. Like he's very athletic. Very size. Very athletic. Good feet. Extremely strong. They say one of the knocks on him was that he doesn't bring it. He's not consistent every down, but I don't really need you to be consistent every down. I just need you to be consistent when they play you. We like that stupid rotation where we get guys in for 2 plays and then we sit them down for the rest of the series. So got to get big, man, and we can see the trend here. We want to get big. We want to get bigger across the, and let's take a look at Siaki Ika right here. He's number 52 right here. Take a look at this guy, man. And look at how he moves. That's his rare movement skills for a guy who's pushing 360. The guy is humongous, right? Look at that. So not only is he big, but he also can provide you with some interior pass rush too, because because of his athleticism. I tend to think that he's probably going to go closer to the first round, maybe late first round. I think just by his sheer size and athleticism may bump him up. They kind of got him projected around first round, second round. So we'll see. But man, if he comes available at some point in time, I'd be impressed not to take a closer look at him as well. The combine rev is going to be super important for these defensive tackles. It's going to be huge.
Oh man, yeah.
These guys got to go and test well.
They have to test well, man. They really do. And you can bet that Sean McDermott is going to grab somebody. And so with that being said, man, Silas, when you look at the defensive line, we looked at the weaknesses. We took a look at some of these free agent prospects and some of the draft prospects. If you were Brandon Bean, how would you address the defensive line? Would you address it via free agency or the draft?
I would bring back Jordan Phillips. I would bring back. I would extend Daquan Jones. I would probably try to either trade or release Tim Settle, because I don't feel like he really gave us anything. And I would definitely try to find a trade partner for Ed Oliver. Yeah. But ultimately I would try to address it through the draft. Like I think those positions you gotta get I think the Kansas City Chiefs set the bar for what you need to do. You need to get young guys with cheap contracts that are gonna contribute. And they don't have to be the starter. They don't have to, be the number one dependent, the guy you depend on the most. But we definitely need some young contracts in there that are going to come in and they're going to play and they're going to, contribute at some point throughout the season. So we got to get bigger. We definitely got to get stronger. We definitely got to get more athletic, but we have to get younger and cheaper.
I'm gonna throw a little shade right now because you talked about younger and guys who can contribute, and that just so far it just doesn't seem like it fits McDermott's MO. You know what I'm saying? Younger and guys who can contribute being young. I don't know. He seems to have an issue at times with playing his young guys. So even though we may go younger, I'm not too sure how Sean McDermott is gonna fare in that department. It seems like I don't know, man. I don't want to get into it because I'll get mad. Brandon Beane bringing these guys in, and then Sean McDermott decides to sit
you get mad.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
No, I get you. Hey, Rev, listen, man. So that's what I'm saying. You address as much as you can through free agency. I mean, through the draft. You take the safety blanket away from
Sean
McDermott, and you just give him rookies. Yeah, you take it away from him, man. You just give him these young guys, and where he's forced to, if he's going to stick to his rotation, then you have to rotate these young guys in. And again, I keep going back to this Kansas City model. Kansas City played their young guys early in the year. They played their young corners. They played Leo Chenal. They played Carl Loftus. They started Carl Loftus.
Mm-hmm.
They started him. They had Dunlap. They had a bunch of other guys that could have started, and they started Carl Loftus. And what happens when you get to the playoffs? These guys are key contributors.
They're ready.
Key contributors towards the end of the year.
Yeah. Started cornerbacks, and we know how hard it is.
Pacheco was picked in the 7th round, man.
7th round.
Yeah. Game-ending interception from Jalen Watson.
Yeah.
7th round pick last year in the last draft. And then their leading rusher, 970-something yards, probably has well over 1,000, almost probably 1,100 yards from scrimmage. Isaiah Pacheco out of Rutgers, 7th round pick.
Yeah. And then
7th round pick, man.
And then you look at 2nd round pick, James Cook, and he got nowhere near the production, But anyway, I'm gonna say running back for another show. But it still bears. I mean, it's still the truth. I mean, Sean McDermott, he has to. I don't know what it is. Get out of himself. Get out of the way, right? And play these young guys, because I think if I'm Brandon Beane, and I'm going off on a little tangent here, but I would be highly upset because I'm bringing in these young guys to play, trying to take advantage of their young and their rookie contract, and you're sitting them on the bench for the first year and slowly bringing them in year 2, and then when it's time to re-up their contract, we don't really have a whole lot of information. You know what I'm saying? To make this decision, should we sign them? Should we re-sign them? Should we let them go? Let them go, and then they freaking show out somewhere else, or we keep them and they end up being bust because we don't have that. Anyway, man. Yeah, I agree. Get it out of his hands. Get the safety blanket out of his hands and go young. I love it. Now let's take a look. Let's take a look at linebackers, man. With a little bit of time we have left, the linebacker position, very, very important in my opinion. When we're taking a look at this job, I mean at this group right now, of course across the starters. I mean we run that nickel. So you got Tremaine Edmonds, Matt Milano, right? Those are 2 guys that are on the field all the time. And then the depth, you get AJ Klein, Terrell Dodson, Terrell Bernard, right? The 3rd round draft pick, weird. Tyler Matakevich, and then Balin Spector as your depth guys. Off the top, man, it's just not looking good. It really is not looking good. And again, I know people don't want to talk about the defense, man. We have to because this could be a huge hole. Now, granted, you can say, well, just load up on the offense and who cares about defense? Until you're just getting lit up in the scoreboard and you can't stop a nosebleed, right? You know what I'm saying? So you have to address it. Tremaine Edmonds, man, is probably the most polarizing player on this team right now. This guy is going into he's a free agent. We let this guy develop, right? We played him. I mean, he did his 5th-year option. He played on that this year. Now he's going in. He's a UFA. This guy is about to command huge money, big dollars, man. Tremaine Edmonds. Do we re-sign Tremaine, or do we let him walk and try to find his replacement, man? Now, like what do we do there? Because I tell you right now, man, I don't see Tremaine being like, yo, I'm gonna take a hometown discount. I think he's going to try to get his money, and there's going to be a lot of scooters.
I'm a big time. Yeah, I think you got to try to sign. I think you got to try to bring him back, because if you don't bring him back, it screws up the entire. In my opinion, it screws up the entire draft, because now you're looking at trying to replace him in the draft now, because or they're gonna go like, what I don't want to do is go and, sign a guy for a year or two that may not necessarily work out with Milano. Or maybe he does work out with Milano, and then, in a season or 2 seasons, now he's, asking you for $15 million for the next,
back at square one again.
4 years just because he works so well with Milano.
Yeah.
Right. You're right back at square one. So if that's the case, it's simply one guy and one guy alone. We have to move heaven and earth to make sure that we get this one guy. If we do not sign, we do not extend Tremaine Edmonds. If Tremaine Edmonds is not a Buffalo Bill next year,
defense is in trouble.
We have to take Jack Campbell out of Iowa.
Oh man. Okay, hold on.
There is no other linebacker.
Hold on. You got way ahead of you there, man. Look. Man. Yes. Okay. Let's put Campbell, on the side here a little bit here. We'll talk about him.
Okay. All right. My fault.
No. Listen, you're good. I've seen some tape. I've seen some tape. Yes.
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah. Okay. So listen. All right. Let's just dive into it. All right. And I want to hear from you guys in the chat, man. Should Brandon Beane, like my man Silas said, move heaven and earth to bring Tremaine Edmonds back? Should we do that? Okay. Besides Tremaine, I mean, we have a lot of guys at the linebacker position that are free agents. Like Tremaine is the main one, right? But you got AJ Klein, who's a UFA. You got Tyler Matakevich, who's a UFA. Tyrod Dodson is a restricted rights free agent. So, and then that just leaves you with Terrell Bernard, 3rd-round draft pick, and you got Balen Spector. So if you don't bring back Tremaine, like what are you going to do? That's a huge hole in the middle of your defense. It's very hard to replicate what Tremaine can bring. I was a huge criticizer of Tremaine because for so long he just hasn't. It just took him a long time to develop. And granted, a lot of people are saying, well, he's just so young. He came in at 19 years old. I get it. Well, he needs a big one tech in front of him. Okay, fine. But he still had, it would seem to be like processing issues. And he always, took the cheese and play action. He always got sucked up by offensive linemen. He didn't seem like he played up to his size, 6'5", 255, 4'5". I mean, the guy should dominate. And I just saw like, God, man, if this guy could just get out of his head or whatever the case may be, and he can dominate. Well, this year, in a contract year, as you would expect, he has the best year of his career. Granted, I think a lot of that can go to Daquan Jones, right, who just held it down in front of him. But nevertheless, you see Tremaine's potential on what he can do when he has a guy like that in front of him. And plus, he's still incredibly young. And there's going to be a lot of suitors who are going to be out there throwing tons of cash at Tremaine Edmonds this year. So, yeah. I agree, man. It's hard to duplicate and find somebody else who can replace Tremaine Edmonds. That length alone and what he does in coverage, dropping back deep, he just takes away the middle of the field. We saw what happened against the Vikings, that loss that we took. Nothing happened until Tremaine went out. As soon as Tremaine left the middle of the field, then we saw Kirk Cousins slicing and dicing him up, in the middle of the field. So he's a huge guy, but if they are unable to sign Tremaine Edmonds, that's a huge hole that needs to be filled via free agency or the draft. And now, when you look at free agency, there's some guys that are out, man, that are free agents right now. Now, a lot of it's going to depend upon the money and what you're willing to spend. To me, I don't see you paying top dollar. I mean, if you're going to pay top dollar for like a Levante David, why not pay Tremaine Edmonds? You know what I'm saying? So if you got him coming out, you get Titans coming out as well. And TJ Edwards from Philly. Tremaine Edmonds is ranked 4th in PFF rankings here. Jermaine Pratt, Cincy. There's another guy that I've seen. I can't remember who kind of projected him to go to Buffalo if they're unable to get Tremaine Edmonds, but it's Leighton Vander Esch from Dallas. I think didn't they come out the same year? I think they came out the same year. But anyway, Leighton Vander Esch is another guy. He's kind of the same size, but he's not nearly as athletic as Tremaine is. But man, that's a huge hole, dude. I'm just gonna say right now, if they are unable to re-sign Tremaine Edmonds, they better do whatever that to me has to be one of the top holes that they have to fill in the draft. Okay. And when we talk about the draft, man, you said it. Jack Campbell, Iowa. I took a look at this dude right here, man, and this brother right here is a monster. So let's go ahead, go ahead and talk to everybody, man, about Jack, man. What it is about Jack that you love so much, man?
Jack Campbell, 6'5", 250 pounds. Guy's got long arms. He's extremely intelligent. Coming from a pro style defense in Iowa that plays heavy zone coverage.
Mm-hmm.
The guy is such an I don't use cerebral as just another buzzword when I'm describing what Jack Campbell does. I mean, the way this guy diagnoses plays, he's always where he's supposed to be. And listen, when he hits you, you stop moving. Like that guy, he is what everybody wants Tremaine Edmonds to be. He is that guy. If Brandon Beane could come out and say, we are Bills Mafia, we are not going to re-sign Tremaine Edmonds because we are going to do whatever it takes to make sure Jack Campbell is in a Buffalo Bills uniform next year.
Yeah,
I would be okay with that. And I love Tremaine Edmonds. I have gone through many wars on Facebook and Twitter with Buffalo Bills fans.
Yeah.
For Tremaine Edmonds. I love Tremaine Edmonds. Okay? I love Tremaine Edmonds. I make no substitutions for my middle linebacker in Madden because of Tremaine Edmonds. I love Tremaine Edmonds. But if we get Jack Campbell, listen, Red. If we get Jack Campbell, I think I don't think that there's much of a drop off, man. Maybe in year one, there's a learning curve for the defense and adjusting to the speed of the NFL offenses. But man, year 2, 3, 4 of Jack Campbell in this defense, oof, man. Yeah, I want to draft this kid nasty, and still sign Tremaine Edmonds. Man, listen. That guy gives me Urlacher, Paul Postlowski, Luke Kuechly vibes. Like this dude is
yes. Number 31 right now. He just had an interception, returned it back for a touchdown. Look at that guy, man. Let's just take a look at him. Deflected pass right there. Heads up, one-handed grab. It takes it back to the house for a touchdown.
Well, that's my guy, Riley Moss. Yeah.
Yep. And like here he is again right here. Just take a look at how he diagnoses this play. Drops back into coverage. Look at this. It's this classic linebacker drills that you see in the combine. Backpedaling, shifting left to right, reading the quarterback's eyes. He does that right here against what looks to be Ohio State. I'm not too sure who he's playing right here, but you see him right in the middle of the field. He's Ohio State. He's just diagnosing this guy, watching the quarterback all the way, drops back in the zone, picks the ball off again, one-handed grab. Phenomenal prospect, man. So if they happen to miss on Tremaine Edmonds, yeah, I love him. Look at how he just diagnoses that play and takes off. Reads and diagnoses, and he just comes downhill and brings a boom. Like nobody's like there's no missed tackle happening. When he gets you, you're going down. Big guy, man. I love me some. I was surprised he had mentioned that. I was like, this guy. Look at him drag, and he drags the running back again after he gets the safety. Like Jack Campbell is that guy, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a I watched a play where it was like a goal line stand where Jack Campbell comes in and he hits this kid and makes him fumble. Like it was a turnover, bro. It is just like this guy, man.
Yeah, and you see that force fumble. I mean, you see the turn. That's all hustle right there. All hustle. Hustle.
Yep.
But
that's the Iowa defense, though. Those guys are so smart. Iowa's defense is so smart. They got a couple of prospects, man. I'm not even gonna get into all of the prospects right now because DBs and safeties are another day. But they got a safety coming out in the draft this year, who I think is a bit underrated right now. And then there's another guy who's a corner. We'll talk about him, the next time. But bro, I love me some Jack Campbell, man. Even if we re-sign Tremaine Edmonds, I think we should still draft this kid, man. Like,
heck yeah,
he is solid, man. He is solid.
Where do you project him going? Like, what round? Where do you see him?
Oh, he's a second round pick, man. Yeah. He's a second round pick. I'd be surprised if the Giants. I'd be surprised if he gets past the Giants in round 2. I don't think he will. I think if you want Jack Campbell, you got to get ahead of the Giants. You probably got to get ahead of the Giants, and you probably have to get ahead of Detroit and the Jets.
Like, Detroit big time. Yeah,
those guys, like, you got to get ahead.
Because you know Shane is he's already thinking about Kuechly too, man. So you see a guy like this, and a huge void that they have. Yeah, they're definitely gonna be looking to pick him up. I love Jack Campbell. So that to me
and Rev, like, I think everything happens for a reason. Yeah, I'm sorry. I think everything happens for a reason, Rev. They're bringing in Luke Kuechly to as a special assistant. I think he's gonna be in training camp this year.
Oh, nice.
I think the Bills are bringing him in. So I think he'll be at training camp this year, which will be awesome, even if it's just for a couple of days or whatever it is, like, just to bring him in. We've got the linebackers coach, Babish. They brought in another defensive assistant.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's a lot of movement around.
And these guys are
a lot of movement. It's a lot of setting.
Well, these coaches are bringing. These coaches are bringing in are
to train these young guys. Yeah, I think they're setting up to train some young guys.
And the guys, one of them might be Jack Campbell. Yeah, and Salgado and the I forgot the coach, but they're big on like disguised coverage from what I've heard. So we could see a lot of maybe some different type of coverage responsibilities. Here's another guy, man, that I took a look at. Drew Sanders, coming out of Arkansas, 6'5", about 230. He's more of like a Milano type of size guy, but this guy right here, man, he's another mover, very fast. So we see him moving around here. That's him right here. Is this guy's another fast dude. So there's some linebackers. I love Jack Campbell. Yeah, absolutely love him.
Yeah, he's going. Drew Sanders ain't getting out the first round though. I don't see a world where he makes it to round 2. Like
Drew's fast, man. Drew's a guy. He's another guy, man. That's just very nasty.
He's probably going to test. Very nasty. He's probably going to test out of this world too.
Oh yeah. He said okay. So this is from Jared Tokarts on Twitter. Says that he's reportedly running in the 4.5s. Yeah, we'll see, man. But that's no. Look at this the way he diagnosed that. Look at it, man. He just laid the wood like this. There's some prospects, man, in the draft. So if we are unable to bring back Tremaine Edmonds, which I think should be a priority, but if we're not able to get him, they better. You said move heaven and earth to go ahead and bring Tremaine Edmonds back. They may need to move heaven and earth to get one of these linebackers in the draft. And I know, again, a lot of people are going to poo-poo on the idea, man, of them once again investing in the defense when this is an offensive league and we need more weapons. Josh needs more weapons. Yeah, but you can't just ignore these ginormous holes, across the defense and be like, okay, well, whatever. We'll try to patch that up and we'll just focus on offense like that's going to carry you through the season. It may not. Teams may light you up if you don't have a guy like Tremaine Edmonds in the middle and you leave a huge void in the middle of your defense, and then across the defensive line, you're going to be in trouble. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be in some serious trouble. So we have to shore that up. But yeah, so those are some guys, man. Is there any other linebacker prospects that you think that we need to take a look at or in the draft piece? I mean, we talked about Drew Sanders and we talked about Jack Campbell. Is there maybe an underrated guy that's on your radar that you think we may need to look into?
Well, I mean, he's more of an edge guy, but definitely he's more of a defensive end. Well, there are two guys that are defensive ends that I really like. Thomas Incombe from Central Michigan. Super talented kid. Definitely has the size. He's got the pass rush moves. Like he's got it all. The only problem is that, there's not really a lot of film on him because I think he transferred from like a community college and then he played at Central Michigan like 1 year. And then there's the Miami of Ohio transfer. I played for Kansas this year. I'm Listen, I love this kid, Lonnie Phelps, out of Kansas. Lonnie Phelps out of Kansas. When you get a chance, Rev, go check out Lonnie Phelps' tape, man. I mean, this dude, he plays special teams. He's an edge guy. He's kind of built around that Von Miller kind of size, 6'2", 6'3",
I'm a
245,
where's he at?
250. He's out of Kansas. He's out of Kansas. You're not gonna find him on PFF, because they nobody's really looking at him as that. He's not really viewed as a highly rated prospect. But you watch this kid on film and you see that motor, and you just see his he's relentless in pursuing the play, and he plays special teams like this. I like that kid a lot. I mean, that's definitely a day 3 guy.
Yeah.
But if you're in the 6th round and you've kind of filled the holes that you need, or there's an opportunity to kind of trade into a pick in the 6th or the 7th, man, go get Lonnie Phelps, man. I promise you. You get Lonnie Phelps. He's one of those guys that Von Miller talks about. I just got to feed him gunpowder. That's the guy. Lonnie Phelps is the guy. You just got to feed him gunpowder. This dude he's a time bomb, man. I'm telling you. Watch his film, Rev. Watch this film. You're gonna love him. You're gonna
Lonnie Phelps, Kansas. I'm gonna pull him up.
He's a monster.
Take a look at
it.
It.
He's a monster.
For sure. Mark Harlow comes in. He asked a question. He says, any chance Jack Campbell's there at the end of round 2? I don't think so.
Nah, at the end of round 2, I don't see it, man.
Not that guy.
I don't see it. That's somebody you have to trade up for, to be honest. We got to trade up for that guy. But I mean, it's possible though. Like if you don't sign Tremaine Edmonds, that's a ton of free agency money that will go to other holes. We can go after a DJ Chark. We can go after I mean, if you want to get crazy, let's go after D Hop. If we don't sign Tremaine Edmonds, hey, go get D Hop for 2 years or 3 years.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
There's some rumors swirling around about Mike Evans, about trading Gabe Davis for Mike Evans.
I would do it. I would do it. Trade him for Mike Evans.
And then you got Then you also have Michael Thomas, the Saints. I mean, he restructured his deal, so he's likely he restructured his deals. They may. I mean, I would prefer Evans. I'm not a big Mike Thomas guy.
Hurt, man. He's always hurt.
Yeah.
But Mike Evans, man, that's a contested catch guy. He brings it
6'5", 230.
And he brings it all the time. He brings
all the time.
Every single season.
All the time. I would hate to get rid of the youth in Gabe Davis. But you got a sure thing. You got a sure thing in Mike Evans, 30 years old, right? He's getting up there, but he can still play. Man, I don't want to get into my receiver talk, man, but we're not
paying Gabe anyway. We're not gonna pay Gabe anyway.
Gabe ain't getting paid. So you might as well move on from him, but that's not gonna. I mean, at the same time, you can always find you another 4th round wide receiver. You know what I'm saying, right?
I got a list of names. I got a list of guys.
Yeah.
Listen,
and then you sit down with
all
Shakir
over
right
the
now.
receivers.
Yeah.
I like Shakir. I think Shakir should start next year.
I think so too.
I wouldn't mind not making a move in free agency at wide receiver for anything other than a slot guy, like a Paris Campbell. But to me, I'm not gonna get into the wide receiver.
Yeah. I mean, there's some options with what you can do, man. But if you were to bring in a guy like Mike Evans, get rid of Gabe Davis, right? Man, Shakir can play outside, right? And so if you got Evans, a big contested catch guy, then you got Shakir, play him outside. Man, you can move Diggs inside. Let Diggs eat from the slot. You
can move Diggs inside. You can move Mike Evans inside and keep the other 2 guys out on the boundary. I mean, you could move these guys are all interchangeable, man. You can really make it happen.
And it all boils down to Ken Dorsey, whether or not he's going to be able to be. But anyway, that's for another conversation, man. Another time, another show, another conversation.
I'm getting a shirt made for training camp. I'm letting you know now.
Oh, you gonna get a shirt made for Dorsey? Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's gonna say make the offense. It's gonna say make the offense great again, and then on the back it's gonna say #fire Ken Dorsey. I'm serious, man.
Hey, I will get it. You shoot me it, man. I'll buy it because I love
that. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Don't nobody in the chat. Don't steal my shirt, man. Don't.
It's trademarked.
I bet I see none of y'all at St. John Fisher with my shirt on, man. Fire Dorsey and tell us reality. Let's push the narrative.
For real,
man.
For real. Yeah,
man.
Dude, we got Eric Bieniemy sitting right there, dude. Wanting to get up out of KC, bro.
The guy from Georgia, the OC from Georgia, Monken. We was on Twitter Spaces talking about that. My guy Ben, a young guy that's in the Twitter Spaces with me all the time. And Ben was talking about. He's like, man, the OC. He's been talking about the OC Tom Monken since we lost to the Bengals. He's been talking about him since then, saying like, yo, if we could get Tom Monken, like Monken is a great Monken be a great hire. Monken be a great hire. And I don't want to lose Diggs. And I think if we go back into the season,
we're gonna lose him
with Ken Dorsey.
We're gonna
lose Diggs because it's gonna be. I don't have any.
It's the same thing. Let's just go ahead and say real quick, because look, I don't think the talk that Diggs has been talking about, man. Right? Look, for one, he's the only one in my opinion who can call folks out. Right? This guy, man, has been putting it on 3 years straight since he's been here. The guy's been top wide receiver in the National Football League. Been performing like you just. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Top guys, top dog. He gets freaking Ken Dorsey, and this guy does not know what he's doing. He can't scheme his dog, number 1 wide receiver, top 5 wide receiver in the national. Can't scheme him open. He's just like, oh well, he's double covered. So let's just, you know what I'm saying? I guess we're done with that. Let's just move on to game. And meanwhile, you got other coordinators who are able to still scheme guys open. When you got Devontae Adams, even when he was with Green Bay, the dude continued to get targets. You couldn't. It didn't matter. Right? It didn't matter who was covering them. It didn't matter how many people were covering them. You knew the ball was going to Devontae Adams, and you couldn't do anything about it. Super Bowl last year, when the Rams won it, they almost lost because freaking McVay was being stupid. He finally realized once LBJ went out, he's like, you know what? I'm about to lose this game. Let me just feed Cooper Kupp. What happened? Fed him.
That's it.
That was it. Wrap. Super Bowl champion. Super Bowl. He fed the guy, and everybody, and the Bengals knew it was going to Kupp. Couldn't do anything with it. And you mean to tell me you can't do that to Diggs? You can't scheme guys. I'm up here watching Andy Reid scheme freaking Sky Moore open on fake jet sweeps and stuff like that. And we got anyway. I think man, we're gonna run the risk of losing Diggs because now he's talking out. He's getting vocal about it, right? He's frustrated, rightfully so. And it may be a situation now where it gets a little testy, and the Bills may have to make moves and trade him. You know what I'm saying? They may have to do it. You know what I'm saying?
This is the thing, Rap. We were losing in the playoffs with Diggs, and Dayball was here, and he didn't say anything.
Didn't say a
there
word.
Was no outburst, nothing. Because Dayball, the offense felt fresh. It felt, and if you go back to the playoff games, Diggs was underutilized.
Yeah, he was.
And both years in the playoffs. Yep. No complaints.
Nothing. But now
Dorsey this year, right?
Now he's got something to say. As Dorsey, man.
His lead. Yeah.
And I think it's even beyond just play calling, man. I think there's some. I think it's a relationship issue, man. I don't think they see eye to eye, man. Because we know, man, when Daves was here, I mean, we heard guys from like Diggs and talking about how much they love the guy, and you heard Beasley talking about y'all just how much of a player's coach he was and how they could bring plays to Daves, and Daves would take a look at it, man. He'd be like, and if he liked, he'd be like, yo, let's go ahead and install this. We had Beasley talking about he brought a play from his college days, and Daves installed it. You know what I'm saying, right on the fly. Like they had that type of working relationship. I don't necessarily think they had that working relationship with Ken Dorsey, and he could be a prideful guy, man. And I just, because when you look at Dorsey and you look at this, just the coaches that they surrounded him with, you would expect way more production, right, from the offense. And I know people look at the stats and like, well, Rev, tit for tat last year, but come on, man. When you got a guy like Greg Cosell who watches more film than anybody, right, talking about this offense was Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and a bunch of other guys, and it looked disjointed. And if it's not Josh Allen, finding a way, then there's really no offense. It's really Josh Allen making Dorsey look better than it really is. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. How much longer are we going to defend this guy? But nevertheless, here we are again. They're going to go with him. Young OC, first-year OC. Let's bring him back again. I think he's going to lose guys like Diggs. And it's going to be unfortunate, man, because at the end of the day, in my opinion, I don't know. To me, it's like it doesn't matter who we bring in. I think that is the issue, that he is the cancer, in my opinion. He's the guy that's potentially going to keep this team from getting over the hump. It's not the players. Granted, you can add some more players there, here and there, but I think, man, at the end of the day, if your coach is the weak link, what more do you expect the players to do, man? And so let me get off my high horse, bro, because I can be on here for a long time talking about this.
Yeah, I think the only way to overcome what Ken Dorsey does, man, is to just put so much talent out there that even he can't screw it up. Yeah, you just put an embarrassment of weapons out there, and even he can't screw it up. Go fix the offensive line. Go draft a couple of guys that are going to come in and learn and maybe potentially play from day one. Go out and sign a vet that's going to come in and give you some quality snaps on the O-line, and just get so many weapons. Go get Mike Evans. Go get Paris Campbell. Go get another blocking tight end that can make himself available in the passing game. Get so many weapons that it is impossible for Ken Dorsey to screw it up.
I don't know, man, because when you draw plays like this, you know what I'm saying? Like
or 3rd and 2.
And he ran that play, man. He ran that play, dude. He ran it. I think I may have gotten rid of it, but he literally ran that play, and Gabe got lucky and caught it on the sideline. But dude, like, come on, man. Like, I just don't know, man. Like, I have very little. I have zero faith in Ken Dorsey. Like at the time, right?
And you a reverend. If you have zero faith, we in trouble.
I got no faith, man, in Dorsey. I really don't. And I'm trying to like talk myself into it, but I really can't. Like, it made sense at the time because you think, right? We didn't really know anything about Dorsey, but we said, all right, he's been here since the inception, right? Quarterback coach. He came Carolina, coach, Cam Newton, right? He sat underneath Brian Daboll for all those years, learned something. We said, okay, it's going to be a smooth transition. It should be, because it's the same scheme, familiar with Josh. They got a rapport, right? It should be very simple, very smooth, not changing a whole lot of the offense. Smooth transition. And then on top of that, right, you're bringing in more coaches. You bring in Joe Brady, right, who was an experienced OC, came out of LSU, coached wide receivers and the passing game coordinator right there when he had Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. He was an OC down there in Carolina, right? Got knocked off his first year because of freaking dumb Matt Rule, right? But whatever the case may be, the guy still has experience. Past games, spent time as an offensive assistant underneath Sean Payton, has that West Coast, philosophy. You got him. You bring in a guy like Aaron Kromer, who has been an OC before and a head coach, Aaron Kromer. Then you bring in a guy like Mike Shula to be the offensive assistant, who has OC experience and head coach. So you've got two guys who have OC and head coaching experience, and then another guy, Joe Brady, young, up and coming guy with experience as an OC, surrounded him by that. In addition to what you learned underneath Brian Daboll, and you still run this kind of crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, but they want to bring him back again because he's young. That's his first year. I expect way more from a guy like that. He's not like he's some rookie for OC who's unfamiliar with the team. You know what I'm saying? Didn't have these players. Doesn't have. You know what I'm saying? Like, this guy sat here and he put this out in year one, and you want to bring him back again? Anyway, yeah, that's me.
People say, how do you fire a guy after 1 year just because he wasn't that good at his job? Okay. And I would argue that he wasn't just bad, he was epic. He was epically bad.
Terrible.
It's like running a fast food restaurant and then having one of your employees on day one go to the bathroom in the middle of the dining area in front of all of the customers. Because that's exactly what Ken Dorsey is. He's that guy. You fire that guy immediately because he's going to ruin your business. Yeah. You fire him immediately.
Yeah. Or a guy who you got, you know what I'm saying, first day on the job, and you got him, ringing up customers, and he just can't balance it. He can't balance the drawer. He's giving guys wrong change back. He's just losing money. You know what I'm saying? And he doesn't know what the heck he's doing. You don't bring that guy back. You cut ties, but like, you know what? I've seen enough. I don't need to see no more because you're so bad. I don't need to see any more. Surely I can find somebody who's better than you right now. And I think and then when you look at where this team is in their window, it just doesn't make sense to have to go through another guy where you're trying to hope develops into somebody. You know what I'm saying? When you're just not promised, it really isn't promised. You can get a guy with experience. I think Joe Brady would coach circles around Ken Dorsey right now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, but it's about pre-snap motion. It's about a lot of different things. It's about putting guys in positions to where they're going to be successful. It's about having a feel of the game. It's just so many different things that went wrong.
And you would expect him to have a feel of the game being a former quarterback. You know what I'm saying? But it just seems it just seems so bad. And then even when you look at the run game and stuff like that, people are like, well, the run numbers were different. It just looked like it looked disjointed, like Greg Cosell said.
It looked hard. The offense was hard. It looked hard.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard to get yards. It's hard to get any kind of production, even in the run game. It was like
we never saw that before.
It was like, well, let me just throw in a run play in here for the sake of throwing a run play in here. Oh, that didn't work. Let me go back to the pass. There was no marriage between the run game and the pass game and vice versa. It just seemed that like it had no vision. It was all right, let me just do this. And if it doesn't work, then Josh Allen, you win the game for us. That's it. And Josh Allen carried the offense, you know what I'm saying, to 14 wins in the regular season. And he just couldn't do it anymore. And the offense couldn't do it. I mean, it was just bad. James says, yo, I have even less faith in Rev. I'm almost there, James. I'm almost there. You know, especially when it seems like he's just going right back at it again with Ken Dorsey and Leslie Frazier. I'm like, okay, I'm losing more and more faith in Sean McDermott's ability to put this team over the hump. They have a team that can win. It's the coaching that has been setting this team back the past couple of years. But anyway, you know, I'm not going to say anything any more than what I've already said tonight, man. Look, shout out to everybody, man, who's been joining us this long. Shout out to my man Silas. We talked a little bit about the wide receivers, and we mentioned running back a little bit. Look, stay tuned next week because next week, man. Next week, I'm gonna talk about that. That's gonna be on the docket. Next week is the running backs and the wide receivers. Silas, if you're available, man, hey man, I may bring you back on.
Yeah, absolutely. I did a lot of work on these wide receivers, man.
Okay,
and I got a couple of running back prospects as well. So yeah, let's do it next week, Rev.
All right, and I also I've got another special guest, man, who's gonna be coming on with me next week. He is brand new to the show, brand new, not just to Rated Rev, but he's also gonna be brand new to BF. It's a guy I follow heavily, man. I'm subscribed to him on YouTube. This guy puts out a lot of great content on YouTube. He's big on the draft. He does a lot of mock drafts. This guy has tons of knowledge on every team in the National Football League, their roster construction, everything. And then he's extremely knowledgeable on almost every prospect coming out in the draft from a college standpoint. This is my guy. Maybe you've heard of him before, maybe you haven't. It's my guy, Bro Schmo. You follow this guy right now. Do me this favor and follow him right now on Twitter at Real Bro Schmo, and go ahead and give him a sub on YouTube right now. Check out his channel. This guy does a lot, man. Again, man, it's a lot of mock drafts. Extremely knowledgeable. He puts out a whole bunch of content, a whole bunch of top 10, top 20 content, man. He does mock drafts. He ranks his top 20 running backs and wide receivers, defensive tackles off. He does the whole thing, the whole bit. This guy is going to be coming on the show, Rated Rev, next week, talking about running backs and wide receivers. Oh, and by the way, he also happens to be a Miami Dolphins fan. So we're going to be talking about the Dolphins and what he thinks about the Dolphins going into next year. Talk a little bit of trash. We'll see. You know how we do it, but it's going to be fun. So stay tuned for that next week. Make sure you go ahead and follow this guy right now, man. Do him a big favor, man, and go ahead and sub to his channel. Great follow, great guy as well. I can't wait to see him next week, and I'm going to bring my man Styles back too. We're going to chop it up. So this is the Bills offseason primer, man. That's what we do. Free agency or the draft. How can the Bills address these positions? What is the best way to address these positions going forward? Silas, man, on your way out, man. Any last words you got?
Man, fire Ken Dorsey until it's reality, man. That's what it is. That's the hashtag. Fire Ken Dorsey.
Yo,
make the offense great again.
Make the offense. Oh, I love that. You make the offense great again, man. Hashtag fire Ken Dorsey. I'm all about it, dude. I'm all about it. You know, and I got words, man, against people who are just such homers and they're so objective where they just can't fathom the idea. And when you bring up the idea of firing a guy after 1 year, you're like, well, why are you going to, why would you keep on firing guys after 1 year? What do you mean keep on? Like we've had like the last OC was here for 4 years, 5 years. Like, come on now, let's not act like we're just changing out the position here. No. You're finding finding the guy who is so terrible at his job to where you don't need him back the next year. Go ahead and get rid of him.
This is why we fire guys that are not performing, because winning the AFC East is not enough anymore.
It's not enough.
It's about advancing in the playoffs and getting to a Super Bowl.
And that's where I'm not at, man.
And it's not even about Josh Allen and his youth and all of this. No, Stephon Diggs is about to be 30. Von Miller's up there in age. Daquan Jones is up there in age. Micah Hyde may have 1 year left.
He's on the last year of his
contract.
Mitch
Morse may be gone.
Yeah.
We've got to get one for them. And it's
right.
We can't waste time with a guy trying to figure it out. Enough. Yeah. No, that's not it.
We can't do it, man. Jason says, Rico was praising Dorsey the other day. I know it. Me and Rico don't see eye to eye on the whole Dorsey bit. But that's all right, man. Again, at the end of the day, man, look, I don't trust him. I just don't trust him. And I like the point,
but Rico's wrong.
Yeah, Rico wrong, man. And at the end of the day, for me, this season, the way it just collapsed for me felt worse than last year, because at least last year we saw just how on fire the team was, and it was just the bad coaching decision, right? So I thought, okay, they're going to learn from it. Never going to happen again. Well, then guess what? Here we go this year. We're right in the back of Josh Allen, right, the whole way through. And I get it. They sustained a lot of injuries and a lot of adversity they had to overcome. But the way they performed against the Bengals was the worst performance I have seen out of this team in a very long time. They looked like they didn't even want to be on the field. I'm not saying that they did. They did not. It just looked like they didn't have anything left. And on top of that, the coaching was terrible that game. And I was so upset. So I lost faith. And I'm like, you know what? Forget the regular season. Okay, I'm done with the regular season. I don't care what they do. People are like, yo, but Rev, look at the stats. Look at the numbers in the regular season. Top offense, top defense. I don't care about any of that stuff, because right now the standards have been raised. And as the standards raised, guess what? So have my expectations. I don't care what they do in the regular season. I don't care. You can tout 14-3 all you want, winning the East, almost this close to being the number one. I don't care about any of that, because at the end of the day, it's all about how you perform in the postseason. And when you've got a defensive coordinator putting up this kind of stuff right now, 107 points and 1,403 yards allowed in the last 3 playoff losses, I've got problems with that. I've got major problems with that. When you got a rookie OC getting coached, I mean, just crapping all over himself, I got problems with that. It's coaching. It is coaching. Is there some issues with the players at times? Yeah, but I'm not putting it on. I mean, come on now. We didn't have an issue last year. For almost virtually the same roster, same offense to a degree. Coaching has been the reason why this team has fallen short, and that's where I'm at, man. So I don't care about the regular season, bro. I really don't. Show me who you are in the postseason, and if it's the same stuff again next year, then you know what? Back up to this comment from somebody who talked about, McDermott, you losing faith? Yeah, McDermott gonna be on the hot seat.
Man, if we don't make it to a Super Bowl next year, Rev, it's time to clean house. And we lose Rev? Oh, wow. Oh, all right. Well, Hey, we lost Rev. So while Rev comes back, yeah, coaching definitely was the problem this year. We saw that. It's a game, but it's another thing to not compete. And I just felt like we didn't compete. Anytime the Buffalo Bills with a quarterback like Josh Allen and a receiver like Stephon Diggs scores 10 points, there's a problem. Somebody said, who you picking in the first round? Hey, man, there's a couple of guys I like. I like Osiris Torrance. If Darnell Wright's there, I would probably take Darnell Wright. I would reach for Darnell Wright. If John Michael Schmitz is still available, I'll probably take him. If we don't re-sign Tremaine Edmonds, then I would definitely go after a guy like Jack Campbell. Maybe not at 27, but and then also the option to trade out of that pick is there as well. But you just got to find a trade partner. So hey y'all, listen, y'all got to help me out through the rest of this until Rev gets back. Here he comes. All right, great. I was gonna say, let's get with these comments. Hey, appreciate you, Jason. Zay Flowers. I love Zay Flowers. He's a slot guy, 5'10", 207, something like that. Yeah, go check out these guys' tapes. Like, please, educate yourselves as fans. Like, I had to do the same thing. Just go out and take a look at these players, man. You want to get on top of that. All right, Rev is back.
Yo, back in. Yo, forgive me, guys, man. Forgive me for that. Wi-Fi decided to kick out, man.
No, the chat said that Rico came over and pulled the plug.
Yo, I see it. Yo, Mike, you crazy. Yeah, Rico went to Red's house and pulled his internet. Yeah, he couldn't take it no more. He couldn't take it. He couldn't take it no more. That's funny, man. Yo. Anyway, man, yeah, that's the show, bro. Again, man, Silas, I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for joining, man.
Always,
I appreciate everybody,
anytime,
man. Yo, everybody in the chat, yo, much love, much love. We're gonna talk about these wide receivers, man, ad nauseum next week. Running backs ad nauseum as well. You guys know Rico don't want no smoke, man. I need to talk to my man Rico, dude. I think he's following the bandwagon. I think he's trying to.
Well, to play devil's advocate,
he didn't want
to. Let me play devil's advocate, right?
You know what I'm saying? He didn't want to.
I mean, there's something to be said for continuity. Okay, there's something to be said for continuity, but the continuity has to make sense, and this does not make sense. Did we lose Rev again, guys? I think we. All right,
there it is, bro. Let me get it out of here. Man, before my Wi-Fi cut out again. All right, man. We'll see you guys again next week, baby.
Hey,
grace and peace.
See y'all.
God bless, man. As always, go Bills.